Hello, everyone, and thank you for taking time to be here with me today. My name is James Norman, and today I'll be presenting my psychoeducational assessment report for Trinity Thompson. The purpose of today's evaluation was to better understand Trinity's pattern of cognitive functioning, identify her strengths and areas of need, and determine factors that may be contributing to her academic difficulties. Before we begin, I also want to acknowledge that this is a lot of information to take in. If anything I discussed today isn't clear, or any questions come up later, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'll be more than happy to review the results again or explain in more detail. Trinity was referred for the psychoeducational evaluation because both her parents and classroom teacher expressed concerns regarding her academic progress. Although she had received several classroom interventions, she continued to experience difficulty with reading, writing, spelling, and mathematics. Her parent also reported concerns regarding Trinity's ability to learn and retain grade level academic skills. The purpose of this evaluation was not simply to determine an IQ score. Instead, the goal was to better understand how Trinity learns, identify both strengths and weaknesses, and provide information that can help guide future educational planning. Before discussing testing, I want to briefly review Trinity's background. Educational records show that academic concerns have been present for several years, even with interventions such as preferential seating, the SIPS reading program, modified spelling program, and tutoring at home. She continued to struggle mastering grade level academic skills. Developmental history also revealed delayed speech and toileting milestones. At the same time, Trinity was consistently described as caring, social, creative, and someone who enjoys cooking, drawing, soccer, and spending time with family. These background factors help us understand Trinity as a whole child rather than focusing on only one test scores. This section is one of the most important parts of the evaluation. School psychologists don't make decisions based on one test. Instead, we collect information from many different sources and look at consistent patterns. For this evaluation, I reviewed educational records, developmental history, parent and teacher interviews, Trinity's own interview, classroom observations, behavioral observations during the testing, the nurse report, and the WISC-5 cognitive assessment. Across these sources, the same picture emerged. Trinity consistently demonstrated academic difficulties, while also being described as cooperative, respectful, socially appropriate, and motivated to succeed. That consistency across multiple data sources gives us greater confidence that the evaluation accurately reflects Trinity's current functioning. The interviews provided valuable information that standardized testing alone cannot provide. Trinity's teacher described her as respectful, cooperative, and friendly. Although she enjoys participating in class, she continues to struggle academically, particularly in reading, writing, spelling, and math. Her teacher also noted that Trinity benefits from visual supports and individual instruction. Her stepmom described Trinity as caring, affectionate, outgoing, someone who enjoys spending time with family and friends. While she expressed concern regarding Trinity's academics, she also emphasized that Trinity works hard and stays motivated when she feels successful. During Trinity's interview, she spoke comfortably about school and shared that social studies and music are her favorite subjects. She also enthusiastically described her goal of becoming a chef because she enjoys cooking. Taken together, these interviews consistently highlighted Trinity's positive personality, motivation, and social strengths despite ongoing academic concerns. Behavioral observations are important because they help determine whether the testing results are a valid representation of the student's abilities. Throughout testing, Trinity established rapport easily, followed instructions, remained cooperative, and demonstrated consistent effort. As tasks became more difficult, she occasionally paused before responding, shifted her chair, crossed her arms, pulled her sleeves down over her hands. However, these behaviors never interfered with her willingness to continue working. Overall, Trinity remained engaged throughout the testing, completed every activity, and demonstrated enough effort that I believe these results are a valid estimate of her current cognitive functioning. A classroom observation. I also conducted a classroom observation to see how Trinity functioned within her natural learning environment. During a reading comprehension lesson, Trinity remained actively engaged, participated appropriately, worked well with her peers, and completed her independent work. Although I observed occasional nail biting during instruction, these behaviors did not interfere with her participation. One finding I found particularly important was that Trinity remained on task approximately 90% of the observation period, which was comparable to her classmates. This suggests that her academic difficulties are not primarily related to behavior or attention, but instead reflects genuine learning challenges. The WISC, or Wechsler Intelligence Scale for Children, is the assessment battery we used. I'll briefly review Trinity's cognitive profile. Rather than focusing on individual scores, I wanted to emphasize the overall pattern. Trinity demonstrated relative strengths in verbal comprehension and spatial reasoning well. These areas suggest she performs relatively better on language based reasoning and visual tasks. Her greatest area of weakness was working memory, followed by fluid reasoning. Weaknesses in these areas may make it more difficult to remember multi step directions, manipulate information mentally, and solve unfamiliar problems independently. Processing speed was also somewhat lower than expected and may affect how efficiently she completes classroom assignments. While a full scale IQ provides an overall estimate of cognitive functioning, I believe the patterns of strengths and weaknesses is a more meaningful for educational planning. These graphs help visualize Trinity's cognitive profile. The first graph clearly shows that verbal comprehension and visual spatial reasoning are relative strengths, while working memory and fluid reasoning are noticeably weaker. The second graph breaks the results down into individual subtests. Rather than focusing on each number, look at the overall pattern. The visual display reinforces the same conclusions that we reached from our written report. These graphs make it much easier to understand Tiffany's cognitive profile at a glance. I created this infographic to summarize the evaluation in a way that's easier to understand than reading through a report. It highlights Trinity's strengths, areas of need, overall um, testing battery profile, and classroom implications all in one place. I think visuals like this are especially helpful because they allow you and the teachers to quickly understand the major findings without becoming overwhelmed with the technical language or test scores. These are her relative strengths, weaknesses, test scores, showing low to average, average compared to her peers. These are the subtests and how the different weaknesses translate into the classroom. Overall, this evaluation presents a very consistent picture. Educational records, developmental history, interviews, observations, standardized testing all point towards persistent academic difficulties despite multiple intervention efforts. At the same time, Trinity consistently demonstrated positive behavior, strong social relationships, and genuine motivation to succeed. This combination of multiple data sources provides comprehensive understanding of Trinity's learning profile and helps explain why she continues to experience academic challenges. I won't go into recommendations too much, but uh, in, instead, I'd simply like to highlight what the recommendations directly address the patterns identified throughout the evaluation. These include breaking assignments into smaller steps, providing visual supports, allowing additional processing time, continuing explicit instruction, and maintaining strong communication between home and school. Most importantly, these recommendations are based on the entire evaluation, not just the testing pattern. They reflect educational records, interviews, observations, developmental history, cognitive assessment results, all considered together. Thank you for your time. I'd be happy to answer any questions.